You can see I've drawn a sketch of the classroom. This is the ceiling. These are the lights on the ceiling. These are the fans, the two circles. We're going to take the length of the room to be 14 meters. That is my estimated length. That is not accurate. If you get a chance to measure the room, it'll be more accurate. I'm taking the width of the room as 7 meters. So to get the area of the ceiling, you do 14 times 7, and then you subtract whatever you think these lights are. We'll take a look at the lights in a minute, but I think each one of them is going to be no more than 0.2 meters squared. So that'll be the maximum size of the light. So there's 8 together, so that'd be 8 times 0.2. Now for the side walls, you can see that this is the wall I'm currently standing at that has 4 boards on it. If you want to take each board as a 2 meters times 1 meter board, that's my estimation. Again, you can definitely, I think this is slightly more than a meter high and maybe slightly less than a meter long, but if you do your measurements, you can take those in class, but at the moment you can just presume they're 2 meters by 1. So that means each one of these boards is 2 square meters. The length of this side is also going to be 14 meters, of course, because the room is symmetrical. And what height can we take the wall at? Well, you could take the wall to be about 3 meters in height. That's all these walls are going to be around 3 meters in height. So how do we get the area of one of these sides of the wall? So let's say I'm doing this side. I would multiply 14 times 3 to get this total area. So that gives 42 meters squared. And then I'd subtract any areas that do not need to be painted. So these 4 boards would not need to be painted. I'm presuming that each one is 2 meters squared. So 4 times 2 is 8. I would subtract that, and that leaves me with, I think, around 34 meters squared. So that's the area of this one. And then I do that the same for each of the other areas. Start with the large area. So let's say this would be 7 times 3 to give 21 meters squared, and then I'd subtract this door and this window. For this window, you could take it as the same. If you are struggling to get measurements, you can take it as the same as the board, maybe a little bit longer, so maybe 1.5 meters times 2.5 meters. And for the door, it's once again about the same size as one of the boards. So that's 1 meter wide and 2 meters high. So 2 times 1 meters means that door area here is around 2 meters. Okay, now I'll take you on a quick tour of the room for some things you should also be looking at. Okay, so you can see along the back wall here, we have these 3 boards. So these are things you can take into account. Each one of those is about 2 meters squared. If you do get a chance to measure them, I think you might notice that they're a little bit bigger. Also down here, you can see that there's some sockets. You need to take those into account. If you want to estimate those sizes, you can, or measure them. Also, we have this AC unit, which will you need to take into account because it will stay there if you need to paint the room. Looking next at the ceiling, you can see here we have our ceiling fans. They're circular ceiling fans. So maybe you can take that into account, getting the area of a circle, or you can just estimate the size of them. There's also a few other things such as the projector here and the smoke alarm. Looking now behind my desk, you can see here's the whiteboard and the notice board, and then we have another AC unit on this wall, which you may need to take into account. I've actually made a mistake in our video, of course, earlier on, that there's not 4 boards along this wall. There's in fact 5 boards. So on this diagram here, there's 5 of these boards. So this calculation is slightly wrong. You could take that into account. And now looking at this wall, you can see there's definitely a few fan controls here, light switches, and some more sockets, and some more sockets behind this bin. So you may need to take those into account. Of course, furniture like this will not be part of the task. You do not need to measure anything like that. It's just the walls as if you were to paint the room. Okay, so you've noticed that I did a little tour of the room. There's a few things you could take into account for your calculations. You should probably draw a picture like this. If you want, you can put a 3D diagram of the room. That's not necessary. So remember, this is part 3, the extra question. This is the surface area of the room. Include some limitations. So if you don't want to calculate the sockets and things like that, just take them into account in the limitations. My answer is not quite correct because of the sockets, because of the fans on the ceiling. Also, there's not 4 boards, as I said before, there are 5. So that's my mistake. Okay, so good luck with this part.